you? Are you doing well? Very good. So here's the question. So what Paul has been proposing is that there's something called rational irrationality or something like that, where the idea is that there is a logic in irrationality. So let me explain why I think this is not a particularly useful way to think about rationality. So are you okay with this? Okay. So one thing is that there is the definition in economics of what rationality is, and what Paul is talking about doesn't fit with that. Now, the reason we need to attack and understand the economic definition of rationality is not because it's magically more important, but because economics has been such a successful discipline, it has become the de facto input into policy and into businesses. What we see happening in the market, what we see happening in the bailout, what we see happening in all of those things, is that people assume the rational assumptions of economics. So from that perspective, we need to have a very clear definition of rationality, and we need to understand when does it work, when it doesn't work, and do something about it. I think what Paul is talking about, though, is the idea that there are some aspects of irrationality that are sensible. For example, the feeling of revenge that we all feel right now against Wall Street can be thought of as sensible from an evolutionary psychology perspective, where revenge between people can actually create some coordination. Or emotions can be thought as sensible. Or we can think about some constraints where it's just too hard or too effortful to think, and therefore we don't do the whole extensive thing. So I think there is a version in which we can understand irrationality as being sensible, but it doesn't mean it's rational. Now, let me tell you what's the real definition of rationality that I care about. I care about the economic definition because it's an important definition in the market. But from my perspective, once we get over this hurdle, the next important definition is what are the ways in which people behave not according to how they themselves would predict. So for example, if I think that if you increase the price for crime, you increase the number of police force, the years in prison people get for a crime, that will change crime, but in fact it doesn't. That's the irrationality I care about. I care about the irrationality where people think they will behave a certain way, but they actually don't. And that, I think, doesn't fit with rational irrationality. And I think it's the really important distinction, because that's the cases where we're likely to make a mistake. When we're likely to think that we'll behave a certain way. Yes, I will wear a condom. Yes, I will save. But at the moment, we'll behave differently. So does this make it more clear? Are you abandoning this notion of rational irrationality? At least in terms of its importance for economics and for policy? Very good. I want to thank you. I can't imagine having a more agreeable person to talk to. Thank you very much. Thank you too.